Mahindra & Mahindra has announced a major strategic move to bolster its position in India's commercial vehicle market by acquiring a majority stake in SML Isuzu. The acquisition reflects M&M's ambition to scale up its presence in the intermediate and heavy CV categories, complementing its strong footing in the sub 3.5-ton segment. Under the deal contours, M&M will acquire nearly 59% stake in SML Isuzu for Rs 555 crore at a price of Rs 650 per share. This stake purchase includes 43.96% from Sumitomo Corporation and 15% from Isuzu Motors, which currently holds shares in the public market. Following this stake acquisition, M&M will also make an open offer to acquire an additional 26% of the company at a significantly higher price of almost Rs 1,555 per share. The transaction will be an all-cash deal, and the company expects the acquisition process to be completed by December of 2025. The objective behind the acquisition is clear. M&M wants to solidify its presence in the bus and truck segment, where currently it holds a modest 3% market share in vehicles over 3.5 tons. With SML Isuzu's integration, M&M expects to double this market share to 6% immediately, and more ambitiously, the company aims to grow its share to 10 to 12% by FY31 and surpass 20% by FY36. Notably, SML Isuzu commands a 16% market share in the intermediate light commercial vehicle segment, a crucial category that bridges LCVs and MCVs, providing an important growth lever for M&M. SML Isuzu, a prominent name in the LCV and MCV spaces, operates a well-established manufacturing facility in Shahid Bhagat Nagar in Punjab. The company has shown a consistent growth trajectory over recent years, with a turnover of almost Rs 2,200 crore in FY24, up from 1,822 crore rupees in FY23 and 924 crore rupees in FY22. This acquisition aligns well with M&M's broader strategy to diversify and deepen its CV offerings, positioning itself more competitively against players like Tata Motors and Ashok Leyland. It also gives M&M access to a strong brand, an experienced dealer network, and a product range that complement its existing portfolio. Here is the in-depth conversation on that Shreen Bhan had with Mahindra Group MD and CEO Anish Shah on the deal and industry outlook.
M&M has announced a major acquisition. The company will acquire a 59% stake in commercial vehicle manufacturer SML Isuzu for 555 crore rupees and will also launch an open offer for 585 crores for an additional 26% stake, as it looks to strengthen its position in the trucks and buses segment. With the acquisition, M&M is likely to immediately double its scale of production and is eyeing tripling that by FY31. Joining us now to talk about the road ahead is Anish Shah, the Group CEO and Managing Director of the Mahindra Group. Anish, many thanks for joining us here at the CNBC TV 18 studio. It's great to have you and congratulations on getting this deal done. But let's start with valuations. A big difference between what you offer the sellers and what the minority shareholders get. It's 650 versus 1554. Take me through how you arrived at the 650 valuation.
I would just say that it's a fair valuation for all concerned. And for us, we've always followed a very structured process in terms of focusing on certain businesses, investing where it makes sense. And it made sense for us to invest at this value because we feel that from here we can grow the business and deliver returns for our shareholders, which is a very important aspect in how we look at this. And therefore, a blended value is what we really saw. That's what we're finally investing. And on that basis, we feel that it's a fair and appealing deal, which has a very good strategic fit as well.
I'll talk about the strategic fit in just a second, but let's just get through the nuts and bolts of this. By when do you anticipate all the approvals to come in? And of course, you do also now need to make an open offer. By when do you hope to close the deal?
So typically, 60 to 90 days is the process. And we hope to be able to stay within that time frame and close it then.
I know you've said that you intend to keep this a listed entity, but is that the plan as far as the foreseeable future is concerned, or is that the medium to long-term plan as well? Do you envisage a future of this being a separate listed entity?
That is a plan right now. I'm not sure whether that will change or why it will change, but we feel that it is important for this to stay as a listed entity and be able to compete in its segment effectively.
Okay, let's now talk about the synergies, and let's address this at the back end to start with, and then I'll get to the front end. At the back end, what do you believe the synergies can be, both in terms of the capacities that you have and how you intend to make use of those? What's the plan on the back end?
So, Shirin, scale matters. And there are synergies across the entire spectrum. To start with the back end, it's looking at first the product complementarities and the investment made in developing new products. It is about procurement, the manufacturing strengths that come in. And this is where M&M's manufacturing strengths will play a huge role as we look at building a stronger stake in this segment. But before that, let me even take a step back and talk about why this makes sense overall. If you think about different segments we play in, we're in a strong leadership position in almost all the segments we play in today. SUVs, we've gone from a 12% to a 23% market share. And we don't really play in all the SUV segments as yet. Despite that, we're at 23% market share. In tractors, we've gone from a 38, 39% to 43, 44% now. In electric three-wheelers, which is a space where we really had a small business in ICE three-wheelers at a 7-8% share, we are now at a 43% share in an ultra-competitive market and we're the #1 player in that segment as well. In LCVs, we are at 51.9%, up from the low to mid-40s a few years ago. So we're playing in a very significant way in multiple segments. This is one segment where we have a 3% market share. And there are actually different parts of this segment, because when we look at greater than 3.5-ton commercial vehicles, you've got a light and intermediate commercial vehicle segment, and then the MHCV after that. In light and intermediate, we've got a lot of strengths that play to what we do elsewhere. And that's where SML Isuzu also has a number of strengths, and that combination is a powerful one. So as we think about that scale, and therefore coming back to your question, at the back end, from a manufacturing, product, sourcing standpoint, and the talent, of course, there are significant things that are positive for us.
I'll come to talent in just a second, but the growth aspiration, especially leveraging on the back-end synergies that you spoke to us about, 10 to 12% market share from the current 3.5% market share. You feel confident of being able to get to that by FY30?
We feel confident we can get there, and we have a target of 20% plus for the next 5 years. And therefore, we want to put this business on a very significant path for growth.
And what does this now mean as far as the front end is concerned? In terms of dealerships, in terms of franchisees, what happens on that front post this deal going through?
So there again, we see a number of synergies. But we will leverage what we have in the business today, because we're in a growth mode. This is not an acquisition about a cost rationalization. This is an acquisition to help us broaden the footprint, to go bigger on growth. And that's where the dealership footprint that exists in SML Isuzu will be a very meaningful one for us. In addition to that, how we sell to the customers, the service we can provide, the ability we will have to be able to meet their needs across a much wider footprint, all of that is a positive for both the businesses, and which is where scale comes in a bigger way.
So when you talk about growth, you gave us some indication of the kind of levers that you intend to deploy as, in order to drive growth. What could be potentially some of the others? Because you made it very clear that this is not about cost rationalization. This is really about your aspiration to grow in this space. What will be the growth drivers, the growth engines for you here?
So it starts with products, and that's the advantage we have in Mahindra Trucks and Buses as well, is a very good set of products, and that's similarly what we see in SML Isuzu. The second aspect is the ability to deliver those products at a compelling price for our customers, and that's where our manufacturing sourcing strengths come into play. The third is the ability for customers to be able to look at what they get from this, save cost, be able to address any challenges very quickly, have a wide footprint to be able to get service and parts and everything else that they require. And as we look at all of these three aspects, if they're done well, that allows us to play in a much bigger way in this segment.
Speaking of playing in a bigger way in this segment, I mean, this is a fairly competitive space as well. But since you're talking about forecasting for the future now, is an ICE future the only future that you're looking at, or is an EV future also part of the plan as far as this segment is concerned? ICE
and EV. And SML Isuzu also has a very strong pipeline for electric vehicles. They have showcased some of that at Bharat Mobility. And that combined with our strengths in EV will allow us to put forth a compelling set of products.
How soon can we expect the EV side of this portfolio to be out of the market?
I don't have a timeline on that, but from my understanding, it's going to be in the near future, not too far off.
Near future would mean, a year, 2 years, a longer period?
My sense is probably in less than a year.
In less than a year?
But as I said, we have to do more work to really fully understand it. And once we fully understand it, then we can commit to timeframes.
So in terms of next steps now, are there likely to be any changes on the people front as well? Are we likely to see any restructuring on the people side as well?
So we have a lot of respect for the management team at SML Isuzu, for the business, for their employees, dealers. I think it's a very well-run business. That's a big plus. And therefore, as we think about growth, we're going to leverage their talents and skill sets. So we will work together to see what makes sense overall for every leader and for every employee. But we are going in with a mindset where we have a high degree of respect for them. We feel that they can do a lot, and they can help us actually build this business and take it to where we want to take it.